Life can feel completely normal, right up until it isn't. In the early afternoon, without any warning sirens or alerts, the ground in southern Turkey suddenly lurched. Homes, offices, and busy streets were caught off guard as a sharp jolt cut through the day. A moderate earthquake struck near the coastal province of Mersin, and because it was shallow, the shaking felt stronger than the number alone would suggest. For several tense seconds, buildings swayed, furniture shifted, windows rattled across entire neighborhoods. People froze, then reacted. Some rushed outside, others stayed inside, gripping door frames, bracing for something worse that never arrived. Almost instantly, phones lit up, messages flew. One question echoed everywhere. Was that it, or is there more coming? The quake, estimated at around magnitude 4, didn't cause major damage. No buildings collapsed, no mass injuries were reported. But make no mistake, it was felt far beyond the epicenter, rippling through nearby districts and stirring memories many people would rather forget. Because in a country shaped by past seismic disasters, even a smaller tremor carries weight. It's a reminder. The danger isn't theoretical, it isn't distant, it's right beneath our feet. This earthquake hit suddenly, with no time to prepare, turning an ordinary afternoon into a moment of raw uncertainty. And in earthquake-prone regions, even when the shaking stops quickly, the message lingers long after the ground goes still. Seismic sensors later confirmed the tremor originated near the Erdemli area, releasing its energy at a relatively shallow depth, one of the main reasons so many people felt it. Even though the earthquake wasn't especially strong, it traveled efficiently through the ground, spreading the shaking across a wide stretch of southern Turkey. In offices across central Mersin, desks came to a sudden stop as desk screens shifted and computer screens trembled. In nearby residential neighborhoods, dishes clinked inside cabinets and ceiling lights swung back and forth. Some apartment residents reported hearing a low, distant rumble just seconds before the shaking intensified, a sensation commonly reported during shallow earthquakes. The movement itself lasted less than 10 seconds, but the psychological impact lasted much longer. Reports quickly came in from surrounding towns, including Tarsus and Yenişehir, where residents described nearly identical experiences. No buildings collapsed, however minor damage was reported in scattered areas. Hairline cracks appeared in walls, and unsecured items toppled from shelves. Emergency officials later explained that this kind of minor damage is typical for earthquakes of this size and does not signal serious structural problems. Traffic briefly slowed as drivers pulled over, unsure if it was safe to continue. In several neighborhoods, people gathered in open spaces, watching nearby buildings closely, waiting to see if more shaking would follow. Social media quickly turned into a real-time reporting hub, filled with short videos, first-hand accounts, and messages of relief once it became clear the tremor had ended. Within minutes, officials confirmed the quake had passed and urged residents to remain calm. But the message was already unmistakable. The ground may settle quickly, but the awareness it leaves behind does not. As the shaking subsided, local emergency protocols were activated across the affected region, quietly reinforcing a reality people here know all too well. In seismic zones, even a brief tremor is never just a moment. It's a reminder. Disaster response teams moved quickly, carrying out rapid field checks across residential buildings, schools, hospitals, and major transportation routes. According to officials, the first priority was making sure structures were safe and identifying any injuries that might not have been reported right away. Emergency vehicles were sent to multiple districts as a precaution, even though early reports showed no major collapses. Structural engineers focused special attention on older apartment buildings, which are generally more vulnerable during earthquakes. At the same time, utility crews closely monitored gas, water, and power lines for any hidden damage. Authorities stressed that even moderate earthquakes can weaken buildings internally, which is why post-quake inspections are so important. Hospitals and clinics were placed on temporary alert, preparing for a possible influx of patients. By early evening, officials confirmed that no serious injuries had been recorded. A small number of residents did seek medical care, mostly for anxiety-related symptoms, dizziness, or minor cuts caused by falling household items, common after sudden shaking. Clear communication played a major role in keeping panic under control. Local governments shared frequent updates through official channels, reassuring residents that the situation was stable, while still urging caution. People were advised to avoid damaged walls, stay off elevators for the time being, and secure heavy furniture inside their homes. Seismologists later explained that the earthquake was the result of normal fault movement in southern Turkey, a region crossed by multiple active tectonic lines. In other words, this wasn't an anomaly. It was another reminder that in this part of the world, the ground is always capable of moving, and preparedness is never optional. While no strong aftershocks were detected right away, experts cautioned that smaller tremors could still occur in the hours or even days ahead. As night fell, the city slowly returned to a fragile sense of normalcy. Streets filled back up, businesses reopened, families went back indoors, but the heightened awareness never fully faded. The response to the quake showed strong coordination and quick action, but it also underscored a hard truth. Preparedness is what determines whether an earthquake is just a scare or something far worse. Even though this quake registered as only moderate, experts say several factors combined to make it feel stronger across the region. The most important factor was depth. The earthquake originated close to the Earth's surface, which meant the seismic waves lost very little energy before reaching populated areas. In simple terms, the shaking had nowhere to fade out. As a result, even a short release of force translated into noticeable movement for thousands of people. Local geology also played a role. Much of the affected region sits on mixed soil layers, including sediment and softer ground that can amplify shaking. In coastal and low-lying areas, these conditions can cause seismic waves to slow down and intensify, making movement inside buildings feel stronger. That helps explain why so many apartment residents reported swaying and rattling, even though the shaking itself didn't last long. Urban density added another layer. Closely packed buildings can transfer vibrations from one structure to the next, creating a ripple effect that exaggerates the sensation of movement. Engineers note that modern buildings are designed to flex safely during earthquakes, but when that motion comes without warning, it can still feel deeply unsettling. Because when the ground moves unexpectedly, even for a few seconds, the body reacts first, and understanding comes later. Seismologists also noted that the earthquake struck in the afternoon when most people were awake, active, and indoors. Quakes of similar strength that happen late at night or early in the morning often draw fewer reports, simply because fewer people are moving around or paying close attention. From a scientific standpoint, this event followed a familiar pattern. Small to mid-sized earthquakes regularly occur along active fault systems, acting as reminders of the constant tectonic pressure beneath the region. This particular quake didn't release enough energy to significantly change stress levels on nearby faults, but it did reinforce the need for continuous monitoring. In the end, the shaking itself lasted only seconds, but the circumstances surrounding it, time of day, location, and population density, turned an otherwise routine seismic event into a moment of widespread alarm. It's proof that context can shape how risk is perceived just as much as magnitude. And events like this don't happen in isolation. They're part of a much larger seismic reality that defines much of Turkey, a country positioned atop some of the most complex and active fault systems on the planet. From east to west, tectonic plates are constantly grinding, locking, and releasing energy, sometimes quietly, sometimes violently. Southern Turkey sits near intersecting fault zones that frequently produce low to moderate earthquakes. Most pass without serious consequences. But history has shown that the same geologic setting is capable of producing devastating events when stress builds over time. For residents, this creates a constant tension between everyday normal life and the hidden risks below. That's why authorities stress that earthquakes like this shouldn't be viewed as isolated scares. They are warning signals. They test infrastructure, expose weaknesses, and reveal just how prepared communities truly are before a much larger test arrives. Disaster officials emphasized that while modern building standards have made structures safer, many older buildings remain at risk if a stronger earthquake were to strike. In recent years, public awareness campaigns have pushed earthquake readiness, things like securing heavy furniture, identifying safe areas inside the home, and knowing basic evacuation steps. But surveys show preparedness still varies widely, especially in dense cities where many people assume help will arrive immediately. Experts warn that assumption can be dangerous, because during a major earthquake, the first few minutes often determine survival. This latest tremor reopened old memories for many residents, memories of past disasters that reshaped cities and changed lives forever. That emotional layer played out online, where social media filled with a mix of relief and renewed anxiety about what might come next. By evening, daily life had mostly returned to normal, but emergency planners cautioned that complacency is the greatest risk of all. Earthquakes don't announce themselves. Their timing can't be predicted. What can be controlled is readiness, because in seismic regions, preparedness isn't optional, it's essential. As the immediate tension faded, attention shifted to what this earthquake revealed about risk and readiness. Even without major damage, the event showed how quickly uncertainty spreads when the ground moves without warning. For many residents, the instinct was to rush outside, highlighting the ongoing need for clear public education about what to do during an earthquake. Emergency officials repeated the core safety message: during shaking, drop, cover, and hold on. Avoid stairwells and elevators. Stay indoors until the movement stops. Afterward, residents were advised to check for gas leaks, unstable walls, and unsecured furniture, hazards that often cause more injuries than structural damage in moderate quakes. Communication proved to be a major strength. Rapid official updates helped prevent panic and limit confusion. Still, experts warn that relying only on social media can be risky. Rumors and unverified claims often spread faster than confirmed information. Strengthening trust in official emergency channels remains a top priority. Urban planners and engineers are also treating the quake as a real-world stress test. While newer buildings performed as expected, concerns remain about aging structures and informal modifications that reduce seismic strength. Specialists stress that retrofitting older buildings may not be flashy, but when stronger earthquakes hit, it saves lives. And preparedness isn't just about infrastructure, it's personal. Emergency kits, family communication plans, and basic first aid knowledge can dramatically reduce risk in the critical hours after a major quake. Because when the ground moves, preparation, not panic, is what makes the difference. Yet many households still don't have even the most basic emergency supplies. This earthquake caused fear, but it also brought clarity. It reminded people that safety isn't built during the shaking, it's built long before it ever begins. Every tremor is a lesson written into the ground, one communities can either ignore or use to strengthen themselves for the next test, which will come. As calm returns to the streets, the significance of today's earthquake remains. No lives were lost, no buildings collapsed, but the message beneath the shaking is impossible to miss. This wasn't a disaster, it was a reminder that seismic risk is constant, silent, and completely indifferent to daily routine. For many residents, the fear lingered long after the ground stopped moving, and that reaction is natural. Earthquakes strike without warning, stripping away the illusion of control in seconds. What follows, confusion, panic, or calm, depends largely on preparation and trust in emergency systems. Today showed that rapid response and clear communication can prevent chaos. It also showed how easily a stronger quake could change everything. Experts continue monitoring the region for aftershocks, urging people to stay alert without giving in to unnecessary fear. Life will go on. Offices will reopen, streets will refill, routines will return. But the smartest response isn't forgetting, it's learning. Securing homes, understanding safety procedures, respecting evacuation guidance. These are the actions that save lives when minutes matter most. Around the world, earthquakes remind us of the same truth. Resilience isn't built during the emergency, it's built before it. Prepared communities recover faster, informed citizens make safer decisions, and awareness turns fear into readiness. If you value clear, factual coverage of natural disasters and the science behind them, support this channel. Like this video, share it with others who live in seismic regions, and subscribe to stay informed. Turn on notifications so you never miss an update, because nature doesn't send warnings. Stay alert, stay prepared, and most importantly, stay safe.